Every government around the world chasing tax from the rich, from the poor, and everyone in between. So when we talk about tax matters, it's not just about Nigeria. You've heard about the latest U.S. tax plan of the Trump administration. Whether it benefits the rich or the poor, that's a different conversation for another day. So, and for developing countries, it's all about tax revenues. Nigeria has been asked by the IMF, the World Bank, or the agency says you need to improve on tax. So here today, we've brought back the Oracle of Tax. That's the man we called Yomi Olugbenro, a partner and West Africa team leader at Deloitte, Nigeria. Of course, the tax is very key for the 2018 budget plans of the Buhari's administration. Without tax revenues, we ain't going nowhere. So let's go somewhere with him. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to have you here.
Same here.
This is really big. When we talk about tax, but let's delve very quickly into the Buhari's tax. Thanks for these very few slides, infographics that you've done, trying to explain where all the money is coming from. Where do we get 6.06 billion naira for next year?
Right. So, good morning, viewers. So, we're beginning to make some incremental progress, but it's still that of a cautious optimism. If you look at the budget for 2018, so the federal government is projecting 6.6 trillion naira. So that's an addition of what is share of the oil revenue, its share of the non-oil tax revenue, and the rest of the independent sources. The component of tax in the FG's budget, it's roughly around 21%, down from 26% that we had in 2017. But you must put that against the backdrop of the fact that there's a 30% increase year on year. So the total federally collectible revenue is still roughly around 12 trillion, 11.98 trillion actually. So 53% of that is oil, and 47% of that is non-oil. So what the government has done is to take its own share of that 12 trillion, if you like, of oil and non-oil revenue sources. So from tax revenue, about a quarter of the 5.69 that is going to be collectible centrally, it's accruable to the federal government.
Yes. Oil is still the big boy.
Well, oil is, but this year we actually have a significant portion from other independent sources. So if you look at
2018.
For 2018. So if you look at the entire 6.6, tax contributes about 21%. Oil contributes about 37%, and the remaining 42%, which is around 2.75 trillion, is coming from an aggregate of a number of sources: independent revenue, JV, asset sale, like you discussed on your show yesterday, remittances from MDAs, and a number of other sundry sources.
Recoveries as well.
That's right. That's right.
What we're seeing on the TV screen looks like a very decent arrangement. But folks are always saying, do we have all it takes to bring in all this money? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that's a very critical question, and a number of times I think we spend a lot of time analyzing the budget and how big it is, what's the quantum of the capital votes and all of that. We pay very little attention on the actual performance. If you look at it year on year, you realize that we've not really been able to achieve very fully the total budget, both in terms of the expenditure and in terms of revenue. So and the amount of your ability to execute your budget for a year is largely dependent on the amount of revenue that is available and perhaps how quickly that budget gets passed. As of June this year, federal government had made just about 353 billion naira from its non-oil tax revenue out of the 1.33 trillion that was planned for the year. That's below 30%, or if you like, about 53% of what should have been made by Javier. All right, so it's kind of improved by September, because when the president was presenting the budget, we were told that globally we've made about 86%. We've achieved about 86% of our planned revenue, and that the 14% shortfall is largely attributable to the independent sources, so the remittances from MDAs, and all of that. And that's where the 14% is coming from. But I can bet you if you do some further analysis of that 86%, a significant portion of the gap will have been covered by the additional oil revenue, because we budgeted at 44.5, and we must have sold at relatively higher price in the course of the year. So it's still some kind of cautious optimism on the tax side. We're making incremental progress, but it's not yet at the pace that it can actually backroll our budget for the year.
What really is the problem with tax revenue in Nigeria? Is it the inabilities of the agencies to collect tax? We have matters of agencies or MDAs collecting revenues and they're not remitting to the government. Then we have the matter of chasing non-taxpayers.
I think it's an aggregation of a number of forces and a number of factors. So first of all, we have to look at the genuine business owners who ideally would really love to pay tax. But if you look at the business environment, in the past 2 years, it hasn't been the best. We're coming out of very tough economic period, and the ease of doing business generally appear to be improving if you judge by the last rating on the World Bank Ease of Doing Business ranking. So we've moved 24 places. So if you look at that, it means we used to be in some very precarious situation before. So there's that portion on the one side. So the overall business environment, impacts, the amount of revenue you're supposed to make, because tax is just a subset of the overall business dynamics in the country. So that's a major issue. The other is the ease, of paying taxes and all of the effort that the government is trying to put in place to simplify the whole of the process. We're making very noticeable improvement, but we're still not yet there. It's a journey, and we're on that journey. We've moved 11 places on this of paying taxes, but we're still 171. We moved 24 places on this of doing business, but on the element of tax, it's 11 places forward. That's remarkable, but we're still on a journey going forward. And of course, you touch on the general compliance environment. So how effective and how efficient is the entire process in chasing those who are, earning income, but still they're not compliant with their tax obligation?
There's the part, very little one there, just going to sneak it in, the anti-corruption drive. When you go massively against corruption, and these are folks who have some businesses, whether they are